What if the most powerful version of you, the one who knows her worth, commands any room, and radiates magnetic confidence, has been you all along? What if that is you? Hello, gorgeous, gorgeous goddesses. Good evening. It's really weird to say good evening because I've never recorded an episode in the evening, and apparently I'm nocturnal now. So I don't know. Maybe it has to do with me summoning the bats in my pool. Okay, that's like really, really happening though, because I'll look out there, there's no bats. The minute I go out there, there's 3 of them. It's 3 of my little nocturnal bat friends. So anyways, welcome back to Girl, You're a Goddess, the sacred space where we step into our feminine power, owning our worth, and creating a life that feels deliciously aligned. I'm Hilary Burton, a women's empowerment coach, therapist, and professional dominatrix. Think of me as your personal guide and hype woman on this journey to unleashing your deepest confidence, sensuality, and self-love. If you're ready to heal, rise, and start living like the goddess you are, you're in the right place. So pour your tea or pop that bubbly, and let's dive in. I am so excited about our episode today because we are going into Domme 101. Today, I am pulling back the curtain on exactly how I help women step into that power, and I'm sharing all about the juicy details of Domme 101. We're going to talk about the deeper why behind this work, who this course is for, and I'm going to walk you through each module so you know exactly what you'll walk away with. And I know the world of dominatrix work can be very misunderstood. It's not just about the whips and chains, it's about psychological authority, presence, and energetics. So when I first stepped into Dom work, I had no idea how much this would transform every area of my life. My boundaries became crystal clear. My confidence skyrocketed. I learned how to command a space. I learned the value of my presence. I learned the value of my energy. I didn't have to raise my voice. I didn't have to be aggressive. And so over the years, women have asked me over and over again, how do I become a dominatrix? And the truth is, there wasn't a safe, grounded, authentic way for women to learn this. You either had to figure it out alone, which is risky, or you'd get advice from sources that felt very disconnected from the depth of what we're doing. So that's why I created Domme 101. It's self-paced. It's a step-by-step initiation designed to help you step into your Dom energy, whether you want to do it professionally, whether you want to use it in personal life, or you just want to get more confidence and presence. So who is this for? This is for the woman who's curious about her power. Maybe she hasn't tapped into it yet, and maybe she's tried it out a little bit. Or maybe she wants to go full steam ahead. I want to be a professional dominatrix. I want to bring men to their knees. How do I do it? This course is for the recovering people pleaser. The girl who was told that she has to be a good girl, that she has to be submissive, that she has to stay inside her lane, put herself in a box. The people pleaser who's ready to set her own boundaries, who's ready to take up space, who's ready to define what her power and her being looks like. It's for the woman who wants to feel commanding. She wants to feel her presence. She wants to feel magnetic and irresistible, indulgent, sensual. And this is for any level of experience. You don't need prior BDSM knowledge because we are starting from the very beginning. We are starting from, this is how you embody your presence. This is how you embody your confidence and your energy. This is how you embody the different archetypes of the feminine and how you can establish that in your daily life. Because this isn't about a role. It's not about a costume. It's about learning how to live your life as a goddess and embody that energy. So inside the course, we have 3 modules. Module 1 is all about self-confidence. self-worth, presence. This is where I'm teaching you how to carry yourself as a Dom, both in and out of the scene. Professionally, personally, this is where you're going to learn how to embody your power and your worth instead of performing it. Instead of feeling like she's going to teach me how to put on a costume and play a role, you are going to embody this from the inside out. That is what is so powerful about this work, because it's not just a costume we're putting on. It's not just a role we're playing. You truly embody this energy and everyone around you can feel it. So we're going to dive into the energy of this work and the mindset shifts that make you truly, naturally magnetic. We also discover, remember, release any shame, any suppression regarding our sexuality. Women face so much suppression and shame around our sexuality, whether we do it, whether we don't, whether we want it, whether we don't, whether we have desires, whether we don't, whether we're single, whether we're married, whether we're a dominatrix, whether we're a submissive. We experience so much suppression and shame, and that literally starts in our childhood. Starting from the age of 5, of be quiet, don't take up space, you don't want people to notice you, follow directions, don't speak up. Literally, that's shame. Literally, our bodies and our voices are suppressed from childhood. And so being able to go back and look at those experiences, what has wired or programmed you to the behaviors that you have now and the beliefs that you have about your sexuality and your body and shame. Because I want to say this right now, there is nothing shameful about your sexual desires. There is nothing shameful about being a dominatrix. There is nothing shameful about being dominant sexually or being submissive sexually. If you want to get down to the basics of it, we are 2 consenting adults who say, I want to experience this in a submissive mindset. And another adult who says, I want to experience this in a dominant mindset, and I want to play with the feminine and masculine energies. There is absolutely nothing shameful about what we are doing. And so processing, discovering all of that hidden shame and suppression is so paramount to being able to embody your sexual and sensual energy. Because if you have all of that baggage, which most of us do, I did, girl, it took me years to process sexual shame and suppression. That's why being a dominatrix, I kept it hidden for a while, because I felt shameful about it. I felt like it was something sinful. The amount of times people told me I was sinning. We got to get rid of that nonsense. Okay, this is a very personal anecdote, but now my absolute favorite nickname from religious men is Jezebel. You're just being a sinful Jezebel. Keep calling me a Jezebel, because it means she is liberated. She is independent. She knows what she wants sexually. She has desires and she's open about it. That's my new favorite nickname. I'm actually going to record an episode on Call Me Jezebel, because I love it. And honestly, it's just kind of a big to anyone who thinks their religious superiority is going to dictate my life. Anyways, so that's module 1. It is so important to tap into that psychology and the shame and suppression of our sexual energy. And the best thing about this course is it's designed to be self-paced. So let's say you dive into some of that and you start releasing things. It triggers some emotions, maybe some traumas, and you need to release before you start module 2. Before you start module 2, that's perfect. I designed the workbook to flow in the modules, so that module 1, you will have reflections, journal entries, and exercises related to those topics. So that will help you process and release some of that trauma, shame, emotions that you're feeling. and then you can move on to the next module. So the beauty of this is that it is self-paced, and you can take as much time as you need to integrate what we're doing in each module until you move on to the next one. So module 1 is about the psychological foundations of you, what you need to know to embody your presence and your energy and your self-worth and your confidence, because all of this energy truly comes from you. So then we have a lot of fun in module 2. So module 2 is all about your style, your vibe, your aesthetic. We tap into the feminine archetypes that you get to play with in your Domme energy and your goddess energy. And so we start with my personal favorite, the Regal Queen. And you'll discover which archetypes resonate with you the most and how to use them to express your authentic energy, because we all express our goddess energy differently. Some of us come from a more regal stance. Some of us come from more of a seductress or a brat or a dommy mommy. So you get to play with these and see how they fit on you. It's literally like trying on your wardrobe. And we talk about how you use your voice as a dom and your wardrobe and your energy, but all of them come together to create this presence. And so being able to incorporate all of these different aspects of feminine energy, that's how you are going to create your dom persona, your goddess energy as a dominatrix. So you can be more seductress, you can be more bratty, which is very playful. You can be the regal queen who is very haughty on her throne. You can have dark priestess energy. You could have nurturing dommy mommy energy. All of these are so fun to play with. And again, the beautiful thing about this course is that it's self-paced. So through our workbook, you are going to have exercises, rituals, reflections on which energy you resonate with the most. And some of the secret sauce is that the energy that seems the most difficult to connect with is probably the place in your life that you're carrying suppression, shame, that you felt put in a box, that you feel like you can't talk about, you might have some trauma around. And it's probably the area where you have the hardest time putting up boundaries in your life. So not only are we creating your dom persona, your dom aesthetic, your dom vibe, but now you are going to evaluate areas in your life that feel difficult for you to connect with your feminine. And this is so valuable because we're getting into the therapeutics of it, the psychology of it. How can I heal my life outside of the dynamic? Because we know this isn't just about being a dom. What I have learned as a dominatrix has transformed my life. Boundaries, relationships, standards, expectations, communication. That is why this work is so valuable. And that is why, one of the reasons, we're shamed and suppressed and guilted away from it, because, goddess, your sexual energy is your most powerful energy. Can you just imagine how powerful the feminine would be, how powerful women would be if we knew the power our energy held and we used it? We used it for our benefit, not for everyone else's. I just saw a video today, and it was talking about how women have to cover themselves. Women cannot be unclothed. We cannot show our breasts. We have to cover ourselves. But you go to the store and there's a magazine to pay for where we're exposed. Because in our society right now, our bodies do not belong to us. Our bodies are for others to profit off of. Can you imagine if you knew how to use your sexual energy and you were the one profiting off of it? Girl, that's one of the reasons there is so much negativity around OnlyFans, because the porn industry has been around for so long. But how many women are really benefiting from that? Actually benefiting from that? There's very few that have made a considerable amount of money in that industry. But look how much money women are making on OnlyFans virtually. And a lot of them are doing it by themselves, for themselves, to profit for themselves. And we're profiting off of the weaknesses, the lust, the desires of men. And men are upset about it, but men are also the ones enabling it. And so when we think about the fact that everything in our society is designed right now for women to not get in touch with their sensual energy, to have no idea how much sexual power they have, to cover their bodies unless it's at the profit of someone else. You can't be attracted or want men who make a lot of money because then you're a gold digger. That's literally a way, that's literally society's DEI for broke men. Of course, we want someone who can provide a stable future for us. It's literally in our biology to seek out a mate that can provide and protect and establish a safe, stable space for us. That's literally the masculine's job, so that the feminine can be soft and open and receiving. But everything in society is telling us that that's greedy, that's slutty, that we're a whore, that we're superficial, when we're literally following biology. And we're doing what's in our best interest. Tell me a man who is not doing what's in his best interest. They will always do what is in their best interest. And women have been taught to do what is in everyone else's best interest. That's why we have the burnout, the exhaustion, the drain. That's why we're settling in our careers. We're settling for broke partners. We're settling for all of these things in life because we've been taught to be the good girl who follows the rules, puts herself in a box, has no idea the worth of her body, of her energy, of her presence, or her sexuality. And everyone else uses it to profit off of, while we live in mediocrity and settle. So that was a massive tangent, but it is so important that we as women learn how to tap into all of the aspects of our feminine and all of the ways that she shows up in the world, because it's the basis of our power, of our presence, our command, our communication, that's going to affect your relationships. It's so powerful. So module 2, we have so much fun playing with your feminine archetypes. And in module 3, we get into the logistics, safety, and the business of dominatrix work. So this is where we're getting practical, and we're talking about negotiating boundaries, vetting clients or partners, setting rules and rituals. And this was one of the areas that I had the most difficult time figuring out in the beginning of my dominatrix journey. There were 2 areas that I had such a hard time. The first one was, what does a session look like? Trying to find a straight answer on what does a session look like seemed impossible. And it's so funny because it really reminded me of my days in my grad school program for occupational therapy, because we were nearing the end of our curriculum. This is a master's degree. We've had 3 years. And at the end of our curriculum, I was still asking, what does a session look like? And I could never get a straight answer. And everyone's like, well, it depends on your modalities. It depends on your therapeutic use of self as a professional. It depends on the client. It depends on their goals. It depends on the setting. I could never get a straight answer. I'm like, can someone just show me what a session looks like? But it's so true. Every session really is different. And I had to figure out my own style. And I had to figure out my therapeutic use of self with different clients and how we were going to work together. And all of those strategies have applied to my Domme work because every single session is different. Sure, there might be a structure to it, but every single session incorporates something different. My clients have different goals. I have different desires. So aligning those things and making it mutually beneficial and making sure that it's a good fit energetically, that is so, so important. So this is where we get into more of the interview process. How do you interview clients? Do you do it in person? Do you do it virtually? What are your questions? What does it look like? And I have a very specific interview process that keeps safety in mind. Because as women in this field, we need to be safe and careful and aware of the dangers legally, the dangers of just a woman alone being in a room with an unknown man. There are so many logistics. And so that all starts for me initially in this interview process. And it's funny because I just interviewed a potential client today and I had really good vibes about it. Good energy, good alignment with desires, with things that we want to try during the session. And it went so well. And I felt valued and appreciated. And I have so much more confidence going into sessions when I have met the client in person. So that's very important for me that I meet clients in person, but some DOMs prefer to do it virtually. So figuring out what your interview process looks like, setting rules, being clear about boundaries and communication, letting them know exactly what to expect. And of course, this puts you in a position of control, of leadership, of sacred authority. They want you to lead this. And there are so many things that go into this early on because you can tell red flags from potential clients right away in the way they communicate with you, what they're asking for, if they're communicating respectfully. And sometimes submissives are new, so they might not know the procedure. But once you correct them, they should be overly respectful and apply that correction in the future. And so this is such an important time for you to be able to read the client, pick up on any red flags, and there is never a time that a client is worth risking your safety or your boundaries or your energy. Because one of the most important things for us is to protect our energy in this experience. My vision for this practice is that we are able to change the perspective of dominatrixes and BDSM work. Because it doesn't need to be this negative, aggressive, low vibrational field. What I do is very high frequency. What I do is therapeutic and healing. It's an art. It's an art for myself and my clients. And so being able to step into this from a healing mindset, from an energetic perspective, knowing that I'm protecting my energy while I'm also providing something valuable to you. And in turn, you are valuing my presence and my energy and my healing use of self. That's what we're doing here. And so changing the perspective on this work. And sure, there's going to be lower vibrational areas, and there are going to be people practicing in a lower frequency. That's any field. That's any profession. But we can change what we are doing. And making it a truly powerful, positive experience. And the really cool part is this course is more than just information. So when I started, most courses were based on just information. Here is how you do impact play. Here is how you do bondage. Here is how you speak to a submissive. But this is a transformation. And the real transformation comes when you start seeing yourself differently. When you start seeing yourself as the woman who deserves to be worshipped. When you start seeing yourself as the goddess who men want to be on their knees for. When you're standing taller, maybe straight up. When you're speaking with certainty and clarity and confidence. And when you're realizing that power isn't something you earn, it's something you remember. You have this within you. I'm not giving you anything that you need to put in your body. It's a shift. It's a remembering. And the tools that you will learn in Domme 101 show up in your relationships, in your business, even in your presence when you are walking into a coffee shop or a restaurant. The amount that my presence has changed since I began this journey is astronomical. I am noticed when I walk into a room, and I know I'm tall. It's not just my height. It's a tangible, energetic presence that you can feel. And when you start to do this work, you embody that. And so I created Domme 101 so you don't have to figure it out the hard way. You don't have to guess. You're not risking your safety. You're not making the plethora of mistakes that I made. And you don't have to feel alone. You don't have to feel alone in your desires. You don't have to feel alone in your power. You don't have to feel alone in enjoying bringing men to their knees. And I want you to feel that deep knowing in your body that you are safe, you are powerful, and you are in command. So, Goddess, here's my invitation to you. Domme 101 is officially open. You can enroll today. You will get instant access to all 3 modules, the full workbook, and all of the reflections that I've designed to integrate this work into your life. So not just in your Domme life, but also your personal life. And you will literally get all of that delivered to your inbox the minute you sign up. So, gorgeous Goddess, if you have been waiting for a sign to step into your Domme power, this is it. You don't need to be ready. You just have to say yes to yourself because you deserve it. So the link to join is in the show notes, or you can head to my website and you can find all of the information there. Goddess, your power is yours. It always has been, and it always will be. Domme 101 is just a space where you finally claim it. So juicy. I cannot wait to see you all inside. Thank you, gorgeous goddesses. This was a quick episode today, but I am so excited in the energy of Domme 101 being released on Lionsgate Portal tomorrow. I love it. We have the full moon coming up in Aquarius, so gorgeous, gorgeous energy. So lovely goddesses, I will see all of you next week.